Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, former US President Donald Trump's hush money trial has reached its final stages after lawyers made their closing arguments in the case. Now, the jury is likely to begin deliberations this week in the first criminal trial of a US president that has gripped the country and much of the world. Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 charges of falsifying business records to cover up a hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels ahead of the 2016 presidential elections. Now, in the latest from Russia-Ukraine conflict, Ukrainian military has shot down 13 drones out of 14 launched by Russia in an overnight attack on 3 regions. The attack triggered a defense mechanism that cut power to some localities. Drone debris also damaged power lines in central Kirovrad region. The Air Force shot down 11 drones over the Mykolaiv region. Russian President Vladimir Putin has appointed Alexei Dyumin as Secretary of the State Council. Dyumin was an aide and former bodyguard. After being re-elected for another 6-year term earlier this year, Vladimir Putin made Dyumin an aide specializing in defense industry. Russia said that they could cope with a European Union ban on imports of its liquefied natural gas, but it would lead to higher prices for European consumers and losses for EU companies. The EU is considering a ban on the transshipment of Russian LNG as part of a 14th package of sanctions against Russia. The new sanctions also prohibit EU ports from handling Russian liquefied gas shipments to non-EU states, as well as tighten existing EU restrictions on Russian aviation and on imports of Russian helium and assorted minerals. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is visiting Moldova on Wednesday. Blinken has landed in the Moldovan capital of Chisinau, where he is meeting President Maia Sandu and other senior officials. He'll aim to solidify Western support for Ukraine across NATO allies and neighboring countries amid Western alarm over Russian gains. The U.S. top diplomat's trip comes as Ukraine is trying to fend off intensifying Russian attacks in the east. Now, Sweden will send military aid worth $1.3 billion to Ukraine, its biggest package so far, to aid the conflict against Russia. Swedish Defense Minister said the package would, among other things, help strengthen the Ukrainian air defense and includes Saab's airborne surveillance and control 890 aircraft. The Swedish government said last week it had agreed on additional military support to Ukraine totaling $7.1 billion over 3 years. French President Emmanuel Macron and Germany's Olaf Scholz held a joint Franco-German cabinet meeting in Grancy, a town in Germany, on Tuesday. The leaders said Ukraine should be allowed to hit military sites inside Russia from which missiles were being fired at Ukrainian territory, but not other targets. They added as long as Ukraine respected the conditions given by countries that supplied the weapons, it was allowed to defend itself. Earlier, Russia's Putin warned the West and said by proposing to let Ukraine use Western-supplied weapons to strike inside Russia could trigger a global conflict.
We think that we should allow them to neutralize the military sites from which the missiles are fired. The missiles and basically the military sites from which Ukraine is attacked. But we must not allow them to hit other targets in Russia. Obviously, civilian capabilities or other military targets.
Les sites militaires d'où sont tirés?
South Korea and the United Arab Emirates signed a trade pact on Wednesday to cut import duties in Seoul at a leader summit. The deal focused on energy and defense. The UAE reaffirmed last year's pledge of $30 billion in investment for South Korean businesses in areas from nuclear power and defense to hydrogen and solar energy. The two sides also signed an agreement to boost investment flows into future-focused sectors in South Korea's economy. South Korea has advised residents living close to the North Korean border to remain vigilant after media sources claim to have found over 90 balloons carrying various objects including trash and excrement More than 90 balloons have been detected by Wednesday, with some landing on the ground while others still in the air, and the authorities have urged people to report to the military or police about the sighting of such balloons. Earlier on Sunday, North Korea's Vice Defense Minister issued a statement vowing to exercise strong power for self-defense and warned to send mounds of waste paper and filth to the south in retaliation for its sending dirty things by air to the north. For years, South Korean activists have sent balloons to North Korea carrying leaflets criticizing its leaders. China's Taiwan Affairs Office said on Wednesday that the country's military drills around Taiwan last week were a just action, and as long as Taiwan's provocations continue, China's military actions will as well. China ended 2 days of drills around Taiwan in which it simulated attacks with bombers and exercises that Taiwan says were more about propaganda and intimidation. Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister James Marape on Wednesday said extraordinary rainfall and changes in weather patterns have caused multiple disasters in the Pacific Island nation this year. Marape's statement comes after parts of a mountain in PNG's Enga province collapsed in the early hours of last Friday. More than 2,000 people are said to have been buried in the devastating landslide. On Tuesday, a bridge also collapsed on the main aid route to the site of the landslide. Well, let's now take you back to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, where there's a debate that's going on among NATO partners. Especially, we've seen how a joint cabinet meeting has taken place between France's Emmanuel Macron and Germany's Olaf Scholz about whether Ukraine should be allowed to target sites in Russia where Western weapons will be used. What conditions should there be? Let's bring in Dasha Chernashova from Moscow to talk about this. Good evening to you, Dasha. How's Moscow viewing the discussions between Macron and Scholz about how Ukraine could use Western-supplied weapons against Russia?
Well, certainly Moscow is following very closely all of those reports, and the Russian president just the day before has sent a very strong warning to the Western countries, saying that that would amount to further escalation of the conflict in Ukraine and their greater involvement into the conflict. And by that, he also said that there will be consequences, actions taken by the Russian side. He reminded that the use of high-precision weapons that have been supplied from the Western countries against targets inside Russia would require intelligence data coming from the satellites, and this is something that has not certainly been transferred to the Ukrainian side. This is where these countries that have supplied those weapons will be directly involved. So President Vladimir Putin was very clear, saying that as Moscow has been warning against strikes against Belgrade, Moscow is warning them against the use of these long-range weapons or against targets inside Russia. So certainly the understanding in Moscow is that that would certainly escalate the conflict and require more steps taken by the Russian side.
And Russia, Antony Blinken is in Moldova to further shore up support among allies for Ukraine. Sweden has already stepped up in a big way. Now, what could be the cumulative impact of these developments on the conflict, where Russia has recently been making some advances in the east?
Well, from the point of view of Moscow, no matter how much weapon Ukraine gets, all these weapons will be destroyed by the Russian military as they continue to slowly get closer and closer to the accomplishment of the stated goals of what Moscow calls its special military operation in Ukraine. Now, we have heard the Russian officials all insisting that these weapons simply and this military aid simply does not help to resolve the conflict at the negotiating table, and hence the military military solution to the conflict will be the only option. Having said that, the Russian president was once again saying that Moscow is open for the dialogue when it comes to the settlement of the conflict in Ukraine. It is Ukraine, he said, that is not interested in that has forbidden that by law. But he also said that the Western countries are not allowing Ukraine to do that. Another point that the Russian president made, speaking about the possibility of negotiations, he said it is unclear with whom to negotiate if those negotiations actually take place, because Moscow says that the legitimacy of Vladimir Zelensky as president of Ukraine is in doubt, as his term expired earlier in May. The only source of power in Ukraine does seem to be the parliament, but that's according to the preliminary analysis of this situation. So again, Moscow says no matter how much weapons Ukraine gets and no matter how much support Ukraine gets, what Ukraine should do now is hold the elections that have been cancelled in the country. And Moscow insists that it is because the Western countries are not interested in the fate of the Ukrainian people. They are not holding those elections. Putin also said that Ukrainian authorities that are currently holding the power, they are taking unpopular decisions, especially when it comes to mobilization, decreasing the age when when people could be mobilized. And then after those decisions are taken, Putin says the West will simply replace those authorities. So in Russia, there is a very clear understanding that it is the West that Moscow is fighting with when it comes to the conflict in Ukraine.
All right. Well, let's see which way things go. For the moment, thanks a lot for joining us, Dasha Chernashova. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Boosting India's economy, global rating agency S&P upgrades its outlook for the nation's economy to positive from stable. Leaders ranging from Prime Minister Modi to Congress Chief Kharge crisscrossed the nation on the second last day of campaigning in the final phase of India's national elections.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy, and before we go any further, another look at our top stories. Mercury at a Delhi locality soars to a record high of 52.3 degrees Celsius, followed by rain in some areas. The Met Office says monsoon rains are expected to hit India's southern state of Kerala within the next 24 hours. Ratings firm S&P Global revises the Indian economy's outlook to positive from stable, citing robust growth and improved quality of government expenditure. And millions of South Africans are voting in the nation's most tough-to-call parliamentary and provincial elections since the end of apartheid 30 years ago. Well, the S&P Global Ratings has maintained India's sovereign rating at BBB, that's triple B minus, while upgrading its outlook from stable to positive, citing the nation's strong economic growth and improved metrics. The agency anticipates ongoing economic reforms and fiscal policies, projecting a decrease in fiscal deficit and a moderate reduction in debt to GDP ratio by fiscal 2028. S&P may raise India's ratings further if fiscal deficits narrow significantly or if there is sustained improvement in monetary policy effectiveness, while a decline in political commitment to fiscal sustainability could prompt a revision to a stable outlook again. Research by State Bank of India has said India's GDP in the fourth quarter of the financial year 2023-24 is likely to be 7.4%, while the overall FY24 GDP growth rate is likely to touch 8%. The report added that leading indicators show a secular growth trend across urban and rural landscape. The Reserve Bank of India's estimated Q4 FY24 real GDP growth is at 7.3%. The report further noted that India Inc. in Q4 FY24, around 2,400 listed entities reported top-line growth of 9%. Sectors such as banking, automobile, capital goods, consumer durables, pharma and more have reported excellent numbers during the quarter that ended in March. Now, 2024 is not just an election year, it's perhaps the election year. So up first, we get you the latest on the world's largest election in India. Well, India is all set to vote for the 7th and final phase of the general elections. 57 constituencies across 8 states and union territories will be voting on the 1st of June. The fate of 904 candidates will be decided in this particular phase. 13 seats each in Uttar Pradesh and Punjab, 9 in West Bengal, 8 in Bihar, 6 in Odisha, 4 in Himachal Pradesh, 3 in Jharkhand and 1 seat in the union territory of Chandigarh will be going to polls in the 7th phase. And campaigning for the final phase of the Lok Sabha elections has reached its peak, with just 3 days left for polling and only 1 day left for the silent period. Senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi held a public rally in West Bengal on Wednesday. The PM said that the TMC is openly violating the ideals of the Indian Constitution. The TMC granted OBC status to the entire Muslim community, thereby transferring reservations meant for scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and OBCs to Muslims. Prime Minister Modi also held a rally in the state of Odisha. The PM said that the BJD, which rules Odisha, left no chance to loot mineral wealth, but the BJP has created District Mineral Foundation to stop all this rape. Another BJP leader and Home Minister Amit Shah held a rally in Uttar Pradesh's Maharajganj, also in Deoria and Balia. Slamming the opposition, he said that Rahul Gandhi and Akhilesh Yadav will hold a press conference on the 4th of June, which is when the results of the elections will come out, and then they will say that they lost the elections due to faulty EVMs. And BJP National President JP Nadda held a road show in Godda in Deoghar, Jharkhand. Also, top leaders of opposition parties have been making a last-ditch attempt to woo voters in their favour. The Congress Party's National President Mallikarjun Kharge held rallies in the eastern Indian state of Odisha on Wednesday. And Wednesday also saw Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi on the campaign trail in the northern Indian state of Himachal Pradesh. She held a rally in Kullu, which falls in the Mandi constituency. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee also attended a public meeting in South 24 Pargana seat. Now, amidst the election cacophony, let us take you on a journey through time as we delve into the story of a city's beloved icon, the Calcutta tram. Once the pride of the streets, this historic mode of transportation is now facing neglect and decline. DD India's Dibendu Mondral gets you an exclusive ground report from Kolkata.
This is the city of joy. This is Kolkata. What you're witnessing behind me is centuries-old history of the colonial period. Let me take you inside the history of the Calcutta trams. This is a living history, the Calcutta tramways. Since its inception in 1873 during the British colonial era, the Calcutta tram has been an integral part of the city's landscape, connecting neighborhoods and ferrying generations of Kolkatans through its iconic carriages. Crawling through the crowded streets of Kolkata, the Calcutta tram is a story of neglect. It seems it has frozen in time. The wooden seats, the wooden flooring and the huge fans showcases the dilapidated conditions of the tram. It highlights the neglect it faced over years.
এখন অবস্থা খুবই খারাপ এই সরকার আসার পর থেকে পুরো ট্রাম কোম্পানিটা বসিয়ে দিয়েছে একদম সব ট্রাম যতগুলো ডিপো ছিল সব করে শেষ হয়ে গেছে একদম সব বিক্রি করে দিয়েছে যাই কেউ যাই হোক করেছে করে যাই না এখন ট্রাম 5টা 6টা ট্রাম ডিপো ছিল সব ডিপো বন্ধ হয়ে গেছে
Lack of maintenance, aging infrastructure and changing commuter preferences have led to a decline in the tram's popularity and efficiency. But this still continues to be the cheapest mode of transport in Kolkata.
খুবই কম চড়ি অপশন পেলে মাঝে সাঝে খুব রেয়ার ওটি ট্রেনে এই ট্রামে আর ম্যাক্সিমাম রুটই তো বন্ধ হয়ে গেছে পসিবলি 2টো না 3টে রুট আর চলছে এটা আমাদের ঐতিহ্য কলকাতার আর কি সেটাই মেইনটেইন করছে এখনো
The neglect of the tram system has not only impacted its functionality but also its cultural significance. Now, as Kolkata marches towards the future, the fate of its beloved tram hangs in the balance. Will it continue to be a relic of the past, or will efforts be made to revive and preserve this cherished piece of the city's history? Only time will tell.
And the people of Kolkata really wants this heritage tram to be preserved and calls for a renovation of this heritage of the colonial era to be preserved and presented to the people for a better transport facility of the city. With camera person PK, this is Divyendu Mondal from Kolkata in West Bengal for DD India.
Now, Gorakhpur is one of the crucial seats of Uttar Pradesh that will poll on the 1st of June. Both the contestants are Bhojpuri celebrities and now doing aggressive campaigning to woo voters. Deepika Mehto sends us this report from Gorakhpur.
Team DD India has now reached Gorakhpur, and right now we are standing at the very famous tourist spot which is Nauka Vihar of Gorakhpur. Well, what else is making more attractive on Gorakhpur is the political battle. The political battle is directly between two celebrities here. One is Ravi Kishan, who's contesting from BJP, and the other is Kajal Nishat, who's contesting from the side of Samajwadi Party. So in the next report, we're going to tell you how this political hot seat is trying to woo the voters across Gorakhpur.
The city of Gorakhpur is all set to go to the polls on 1st of June in the 7th and last phase of India's Lok Sabha election 2024. This particular seat is not only a hot seat from the contestants' point of view, but this seat is a matter of prestige for UP's current Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. The seat is witnessing a battle between BJP's Ravi Kishan, who is a celebrated Bhojpuri actor and singer, along with Samajwadi Party's Kajal Nishat, who is contesting on the basis of Nishat community's vote bank.
बीजेपी के गोरखपुर से प्रत्याशी रवि किशन जी ने कोई इंट्रोडक्शन की जरूरत नहीं है। थोड़ी देर पहले इनकी 47 डिग्री में रैली थी जिसमें हजारों की तादाद में जनसंख्या मौजूद थी। सर, जब हम बात करें गोरखपुर की लड़ाई की तो सामने आपके काजल निषाद है, कितना बड़ा चैलेंज है या कोई चैलेंज नहीं?
चैलेंज देखिए उनसे होता जो कुछ काम किए होते। जीवन में याद रखना, आपसे बढ़िया कोई एंकर होगी तो अब आपके लिए चैलेंज होगा। जो लोग काम ही नहीं किए, जिनको 5 साल में आप एक बार देखें, उन लोग से क्या चैलेंज है?
On the other hand, SP's Kajal Nishat is trying to secure the vote bank of Nishat community of Gorakhpur.
चैलेंज है ही नहीं है, क्योंकि वे बाहरी है, जौनपुर के हैं। मैं घर की हूँ, लोकल हूँ, भहुआ पार की हूँ, गोरखपुर ग्रामीण की रहने वाली हूँ।
The people of Gorakhpur are demanding a better economic situation that means no inflation, while others say that they have witnessed a lot of positive changes in Gorakhpur.
Everything has become very expensive. Inflation should be controlled.
10 साल हो गए।
Gorakhpur has changed. Many positive changes have happened here.
The polling in Gorakhpur will take place on the 1st of June, and both the candidates are putting their best foot forward to woo the voters ahead of the silent period.
So there you heard the version of both political parties and how they are trying to woo the voters ahead of the polling, which is all set to take place in Gorakhpur on the 1st of June. So don't forget to vote on the 1st of June and vote for your favorite party, cast your vote for your political right. With camera person Sanjeev, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Gorakhpur.
Let's now get you some live inputs from our colleagues. Amritpal Singh is joining us from Patiala in Punjab, and Akshay Dongre is joining us from Kullu in Himachal Pradesh, which is part of the Mandi seat. Good evening to you, Amrit. First, 13 parliamentary seats, all of the state of Punjab is at stake in the final phase, and perhaps no other seat will give us a better understanding of how the BJP is likely to fare in the state than Patiala. Is it also seeing a multi-cornered contest?
Yes, the contest primarily here, though all political parties have fielded candidates, but the main contest here seems between the alliance partner, India alliance partners, Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress. The Congress has fielded a doctor called Dr. Dharamveer, who's a Dharamveer Gandhi. In fact, Rahul Gandhi is right now in Patiala campaigning for him. He was earlier the MP from Patiala in 2014, but that time he was with the Aam Aadmi Party. The Aam Aadmi Party has fielded another doctor, an eye surgeon called Dr. Balbir Singh. He's the health minister of Punjab. Parneet Kaur is the BJP's candidate. She has been 2 times MP the last time around, and the last time, the time before that, the term before that. So she's been MP 10 years, but she was in a Congress MP. Now she's a BJP candidate. The Akali Dal has fielded a local candidate who used to be an MLA here. They are trying to salvage, their or find their relevance or still retain their relevance in the state. So it is quite an interesting contest, and you rightly said Patiala gives you a sense of what Punjab is today. You have party hoppings happening. You have sitting MPs hopping into each other's parties. Jalandhar, you have the same. The AAP MP joined the BJP and is the BJP's candidate. Ravneet Bittu, the last MP from Ludhiana, is now the BJP's candidate. Parneet Kaur. So this is what this sort of party hopping just before the elections, and they go out to the voter straight-faced and say, vote for us.
Yes, that does seem to be the case. Now, Akshay, you're in Kullu, which is part of the Mandi Lok Sabha seat, which has acquired its own place in the nation's election watch because of the BJP's candidate and national award-winning star Kangana Ranaut. But what do you think is an even more interesting contest where the hill state is concerned?
Well, absolutely. A lot of interesting contests here happening, Gautam. In fact, there are 4 parliamentary constituencies, and on all 4, there is a tough fight between the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Indian National Congress. In fact, however, when we look at the track record of both of these parties in the parliamentary elections, it has been the BJP that has had an edge both. In fact, in last 3 elections, in 2019 elections, the BJP swept the state, winning all the 4 seats. In 2014 as well, the BJP won all the 4 seats for the 4 constituencies, and even in 2009 elections, it won 3 out of 4 seats from Himachal, which says that the BJP has held an upper hand when it comes to the national elections and the issues of national relevance. However, a very important question that you have asked about interesting contests. So while here the contest is between Kangana Ranaut, fielded by the BJP, and Vikramaditya, who has been fielded by the Indian National Congress, and even more interesting fight is about the by-elections. And even the by-elections do not hold that relevance as far as formation of the government or other issues. But this by-election that is also taking place on 1st of June is quite relevant to the state government of Sukhinder Singh Sukhu, the Chief Minister of the state. In fact, if you have to understand the reason for this important, it's because in Rajya Sabha elections, or the elections of the upper house, 6 Congress MLAs, members of Legislative Assembly, did not vote according to the whip of the Congress party. They in fact voted for the candidate of the BJP, which led the Congress party to expel all 6 of them, who later joined the BJP and are now candidates on the 6 Legislative Assembly seats. They all are part of the BJP, and all 6 of the former MLAs now contesting on these 6 seats. Now, the danger for the Sukhu government is that they only have 34 out of 68 seats in the state of Himachal. And though right now they have the government, if the BJP manages to get all 6 of these seats, that they will have equal number of MLAs, and that will put a big question mark on the state government of the Congress party. So while the Congress is fighting not just to win or change the political scenario for the national elections, the bigger worry for them is to ensure that they don't lose out on a state like Himachal Pradesh, where they have registered victory after losses in many states in contest with the BJP. So that's going to be very important, because if all the 6 seats go to the BJP, then there will be dark clouds over the Sukhu government here in Himachal Pradesh. But the contest is going to be quite fierce, and that is why a lot of national leaders are here. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was campaigning in different parts of the state. We right now have External Affairs Minister in the state. We also have the Union Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari in the state, JP Nadda. The BJP President had also come to campaign for the candidates. In fact, other candidates are also quite important, including the Information and Broadcast Minister Anurag Thakur is also a candidate from the Hamirpur constituencies. For the Congress party, Priyanka Gandhi and other top leadership of the Congress is intensively campaigning. In fact, today Priyanka Gandhi is in the state campaigning in different parts of the state, along with other chief minister and other senior Congress party workers and leaders. Back to you.
All right. Well, let's leave it there at the moment and see what comes forth on the 1st of June and then on the 4th for both Himachal Pradesh and Punjab. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment. Akshay Dongre and Amritpal Singh. The country is also witnessing extreme heat across the entire north. Delhi's Mungeshpur touched 52.3 degrees Celsius, the highest ever maximum temperature for the national capital on Wednesday, according to an official from the Indian Met Department. Apart from that, we have seen some showers take place as well in Delhi itself, and the IMD, which reported severe heat wave conditions, recorded the temperature in the Delhi suburb of Mungeshpur as smashing the previous national record in the desert of Rajasthan by more than 1 degree Celsius. The Met Department has warned of heat wave to severe heat wave in several parts of the country, including Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. Many parts of eastern state Odisha are also under a severe heat wave. Scientists have predicted a more intense heat wave than the usual this year, largely caused by fewer non-monsoon thunder showers and an active but weakening El Nino weather phenomenon. Meanwhile, just 2 hours after Delhi recorded the country's highest ever temperature at 52.3 degrees Celsius, received showers, bringing some respite from the extreme heat in some parts. Earlier in the day, the weather department had forecast thunderstorm with light intensity rain and gusty winds with speeds up to 30 to 40 kilometers per hour occurring over and adjoining areas of a few places of Delhi and NCR, Gohana, Sonipat, Rohtak, Kharkhoda, these are places in Haryana, and Pilakwa, Hapur, Gulauti, Siana, Sikandarabad and Bulandshahr in Uttar Pradesh in the next 2 hours, and that's what really happened. As you can see in these pictures, drizzle was also witnessed in Delhi's neighborhood, that is in UP's Noida. But if you turn southwards in India, heavy rainfall continued to lash several parts of Kerala on Wednesday, with normal life being thrown out of gear in many places. The Indian Met Department has said that the conditions continue to become favourable for the onset of monsoon over Kerala during the next 24 hours. India's Met Department has issued an orange alert for 7 districts, including Thiruvananthapuram, Ernakulam and Kottayam. Let me now bring in my colleague Tapas Bhattacharya very quickly on this. Tapas, strange weather, isn't it? The same day that Delhi records its highest ever temperature, 52.3 degrees Celsius in one particular locality, it also gets showers in some parts. What's going on? What's the Met Department saying?
Remember, Gautam, we spoke earlier and said that there is a western disturbance that is expected and it will help in easing the particular, it will provide respite to this particular severe heat condition, and exactly that's what happened. The temperature actually has crossed 52.3 in Mungeshpur. Now Mungeshpur has an automatic weather station. This is a remote automatic weather station. We are expecting the weather, the heat to be it to be much less than what it is in Mungeshpur. In fact, the weather station in Safdarjung, which is considered the focal point, the base point on whether what will be Delhi's weather condition, whether whether it's hot or cold for that matter. There it is showing a 46 degrees Celsius. So one does believe that it's in the outer part of Delhi is actually quite hot. But again, it's, as I mentioned, it's a remote automatic weather station. And we spoke to IMD people. They said that they are working to verify the fact that whether exactly it is 52.3 or it's just just what happens in one particular day, because they need to verify the statistics from these remote automatic station and then come to a conclusion. For instance, in Palam, in let's say in Safdarjung, the surface temperature is much less than what it is in other places. So that's one point. And the second, as I mentioned earlier, there's a wind blowing from the Arabian Sea that is that's going to make things much easier for people in northwest. The impending western disturbance that we are expecting, that will also have a major impact. So overall, people might just say that the 50 degree, 49 degree part that Delhi was facing it probably is over for the time being. We will have a much better day temperature in comparison to what we had earlier.
All right, well, let's leave it there and see how the monsoon advances as well. That's something that one has to really look out for in terms of bringing some long-term relief from this.
24 hours, Gautam, 24 hours.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that, although it takes time for it to advance to other parts of the country. Kerala is just the beginning, but even that is extremely good news, and let's hope that we have a surplus monsoon as well. Thanks for joining us for the moment, Tapas. Indian Army's Major Radhika Sen has been selected to receive a UN award recognizing her advocacy for women and girls while serving as a peacekeeper. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres will present Radhika Sen with the 2023 Military Gender Advocate of the Year Award on the occasion of the International Day of UN Peacekeepers. The award recognizes the efforts of a military peacekeeper in promoting the principles of the 2000 Security Council resolution that calls for protecting women and girls from conflict-related sexual violence and sets gender-related responsibilities for the UN. Sen is the second Indian peacekeeper to receive the honor after Major Suman Gavani, who served with the UN mission in South Sudan and received the award in 2019. And India proudly stands as a leading contributor to UN peacekeeping, showcasing the nation's unwavering commitment to global peace and security. India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ruchira Kamboj, has lauded Major Radhika Sen of the Indian Army, who served as a UN peacekeeper.
This year, we are particularly honored to receive the UN Gender Military Advocate Award for 2024, a powerful testament to India's steadfast dedication to gender equality and the invaluable role of women in peacekeeping. We hence proudly celebrate Major Radhika Sen, whose exemplary service and leadership have earned her this distinguished award. Congratulations, Radhika.
And the 29th of May, which is today, marks the 76th anniversary of UN peacekeeping, a day dedicated to honoring United Nations remarkable uniformed and civilian personnel. India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, extended his vision on the day, saying that he saluted the valor of the brave women and men who dedicate themselves to maintaining peace and security in regions affected by conflict. In a post on X, Dr. Jaishankar also remembered those who've made the supreme sacrifice in carrying out the cause of UN peacekeeping. Indian mountaineer Satyadeep Gupta has scripted history by becoming the first person to scale Mount Everest and Mount Lhotse twice in one season, and the first Indian to traverse the two peaks in 11 hours and 15 minutes. Gupta scaled the 8,516-meter high Mount Lhotse on Monday at noon and the 8,849-meter high Mount Everest, the tallest peak in the world, at 12:45 a.m. midnight, according to Pioneer Adventure Expedition, which organized this mission. And Nepal on Wednesday celebrated 71st International Sagar Matha Day 2024, commemorating humans' first ascent to Mount Everest by Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay Sherpa on the 29th of May 1953. The Nepal Mountaineering Association organized programs in collaboration with the Ministry of Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation and the other organizations associated with tourism. Prime Minister Prachanda urged efforts to preserve mountains and support the Save Mountains, Save Humanity campaign, emphasizing tourism promotion, environmental conservation and climate change mitigation. With 8,000 Everest climbers to date, Nepal reaffirms its commitment to mountain safety and dignity, boasting 8 of the world's 14 highest peaks, including Mount Everest, measured at 8,848.86 meters in 2021. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India News Hour. You can let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can also connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. You can also download the app of DD India on both Android and iOS platforms, just scanning the QR code on the screen. We'll be back with more news and updates. It's a break here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.
The Darjeeling Himalayan Railway